Ed Sheeran is known for performing with an acoustic guitar, his loop pedal, and there's usually a lot of guitar in the album versions of his tracks. But Bad Habits doesn't have a lot of guitar in the track. It's got a lot of bass and a lot of other dance music inspired elements. So how does Ed play it live and capture the vibe of the song? He's done a few different live versions of the song since the single was released. So let's check out a couple of those and see what he does. So we've got two performances here by Ed Sheeran. We've got his Bad Habits live at TikTok Performance. And we've got his official acoustic video. These are both quite different, so let's have a look at them and see what's going on. All right, let's check out the acoustic performance. So right off the bat, completely different vibe.
Every time you come around, you know I can't say.
This time he's not trying to capture that dance beat.
Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control.
It's not that melody we like either.
I can feel the paradise before my world implodes.
So this one, the vocal is what's most important.
Something wonderful. My bad habits lead to late nights and then alone conversations with a stranger I barely know, swearing this will be the.
So with this version, if you were hearing it like this for the first time, you wouldn't even know that melody line or the dance bass rhythm even existed in the single. It's a completely different version. So Ed's acoustic performance didn't really capture the dance music elements of the single. I also don't want to use a bass synth or a loop pedal to play the song. So instead, we're gonna look at a few less common right-hand techniques that we can use to capture the vibe of Bad Habits. Will it be exactly what Ed played? No, but he's done it differently in every performance. You see, when we're covering a song, our goal is to capture the vibe of the song, not necessarily to try and play exactly what the guitar was playing in the studio recording. All right, let's get into it. To play that melody, what we're gonna do is use these three shapes. And then this one with the added finger. But we're gonna play them melodically. This gives us the opportunity to roll this finger down there. That's a useful technique. When we're rolling our finger within a fret, we want to roll it so that this string here is muted after we've played it. Then we're going to drop down to the shape using these three fingers to play it. And then drop down to this shape. So we're playing that whole melody within these three strings. Now, if we were going to pick this with a typical right-hand technique, we'd probably do it like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't quite have the same vibe as the song. So we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to create the same vibe as the track? Now, dance music is really rhythmic. It's got that kind of bounce to it. And often when we're playing a riff like this that is very rhythmic, we want to make sure that we're using the same picking direction as we would if we were strumming with our regular strumming patterns. We don't necessarily need to do that if we're playing like a solo. It doesn't matter so much if you're picking up and down on the right hits. But for this, we want to keep the picking pattern reasonably consistent. And we're going to take it a step further by actually kind of doing this strumming motion with our hand in order to pick it. Even if I don't have that rhythmic element and just have that motion, you can hear it sounds different. Check it out. This is what it sounds like if I pick it like you'd normally pick anything on the guitar. And this is what it sounds like if I use that kind of rhythmic strummed pattern. Now it's subtle, but to me, that second version sounds a lot cleaner, a lot smoother, and it has more of that vibe that I'm hearing in the song. But we can play it with a bit more attitude. We can actually kind of like get nice and percussive in there because there are a lot of drums in the track. We want that strong rhythmic element. So what we're kind of doing is strumming from out here a little bit and rotating our hand down to hit underneath the string we want, because the first one's happening on the offbeat. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Making sure we're doing a downstroke on the beat and an upstroke on the offbeat. When I do that first downstroke, what I'm doing is hitting the strings and stopping my pick underneath the G string. Ready to hit that upstroke. 1 and 2, 3 and. So we're going under, up on the G string, down on the D string, then down again on the G string, and that motion should take us under the B string to go up again on the B string. And when we speed that up, I think the percussive hits that we get by hitting the muted strings really gives it a lot more energy and attitude, which to me is more of what the vibe of the song's about. Now, we could take it a little further. We could take some liberties with the melody, and I don't think this note is in the melody of the song, but we could play that bass note again before going to that next part. And what that kind of does is gives us a little bit of a sidechain vibe. A sidechain is that feeling we get in electronic music where the synth kind of dips in volume to make space for the kick. It's softer in volume on the beat. So if we do that here, just kind of hit that note soft, it kind of just gives us that sense that there's a sidechain happening. So we could try that melody with different effects or whatever, you know, see what you like. But the point of what I wanted to discuss with that is the right hand technique and how we can use this slightly unusual picking motion to take what is a very rhythmic lick and give it a little bit of a different flavor than we might be used to. The second part of the song is the chord progression, the rhythmic part. So we're just going to play power chords here on the E and the A string. I think in the recording Ed Sheeran does do that later on in the song, where he kind of hits the strings muted and then goes up to hit the power chord. However, that's not dancey enough for me. So I was thinking to myself, how do we create that vibe of the drums hitting nice and strong on the 4 on the floor, but also how do we get the sense that there's like a bass hit happening on the offbeat? Because if we only strum the power chords on the offbeat, it's hard to tell if you don't have a 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it starts to feel a little bit more like a reggae track than a dance track. So what I came up with is this idea. What we're going to do is play these top 2 strings. We're actually going to use this palm muted strum technique where we strike the string and palm mute it at the same time. That gives it a lot more of a percussive effect and has a lot more energy than if we just start from a palm muted position. So we're going to strike that low E string using our palm muted strumming technique. And as we strike it, we're going to go past the A string and end up with our pick underneath the A string in the same kind of vibe that we did with the melody earlier. So we're going to palm mute that, end up with our pick under the A string, and then release the palm mute and do a straight up strum with the full strings, which is gonna give us that more aggressive percussive sound. So to me, I'm kind of thinking that that palm muted hit on the beat is giving us a sense of rhythm, like the kick drum is doing when it's hitting, but it's not as powerful as that second hit, which is what the bass is doing in the track. So when we've got those soft palm muted hits giving us that rhythmic sense on the one, but we still get that offbeat vibe hitting on the end, but it doesn't sound too much like a reggae track because we still have something happening on the one. And I find it helpful to rotate your hand as you're doing it. Kind of rotate down, palm mute, and then back up and around. So with the timing, it'll sound like this. He does that little cut after the E the first time it plays, before it goes to the G and the A, but it doesn't do that, I don't think, the second time through the verses. If you listen to the track, you can hear what we're talking about. So that's the idea. We want to play Bad Habits by capturing the vibe of the song on the guitar. We don't just want to try copy what Ed's doing because he's doing it a few different ways in a few different performances. But I really like this way of doing it because it gives us an opportunity to play something stylistically that we might not typically choose to do on the guitar, and it allows us to get used to a couple of what I think are really interesting right hand techniques that we might not otherwise have a chance to play. So it's a cool riff, it's got some syncopation. Give it a go and let me know how you get on. Well, that's the video, guys. Thanks for checking it out. You can head along to guitarnutrition.com if you want the tabs and the full chord charts for what we were working on here. If you enjoyed this video, help us out by hitting the like button and leaving a comment. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Next week, we're dropping a video exposing Ed Sheeran. He made a mistake in one of the performances we looked at today. Does it matter though? We'll find out next week. I'll see you then.